This is Vipin Ruela. Today I am going to teach the first lesson of poetry, class 12th, My Mother at 66, written by Kamla Das. Students, in this poem, the poet has emphasized on the natural process of becoming old. And students, this is a natural process. A person who gets birth in this world, one day he or she has to get old and has to die also. So students, this is a natural process, and through this poem the poet Kamla Das has raised a question towards us. That the question is that have we ever thought what our elderly parents expect from us? Because they are old, it means we are young, they have become old. So what they are expecting from us, have we ever thought in our inside our heart? The poet has raised these questions through this poem towards us. So students, let's start the poem. Driving from my parents' home to Cochin last Friday morning, I saw my mother beside me, doors open mouthed, her face a scene like that of a corpse. Students, the poet Kamla Das visited her home, and on last Friday morning she was returning. She was going to Cochin airport, and she was going there by car. When she was going to Cochin airport, her mother was also with her. She was sitting beside her. So as she was, her mother was sitting beside the poet Kamla Das. That time Kamla Das noticed her. She noticed that her mother was sleeping, and her mouth was opened, and her face was looking lifeless. It means dull. She was looking like a dead body, and realized with pain that she was as old as she looked, but soon put that thought away and looked out at young trees sprinting, and the merry children spilling out of their homes. Students, after noticing the facial and physical feature of her mother, the poet Kamla Das realized these all things painfully. Realized this thing painfully, that her mother ultimately had become old. Because it means she realized painfully, it means she never wished her mother to be old. But ultimately, when this time she noticed her mother face was looking dull and looking lifeless as a dead body. So it is very hard for the poet to accept these things. For diverting her mind from these thoughts, the poet looked outside the car, and as she was looking out of the car, she saw the young trees which were planting at the roadside. They were running back, because students, the car was moving forward. So it's a simple, the trees planted on the roadside, they were moving back, and the happy children were also coming out of their homes for enjoying, for playing the games. Okay students, here, till here we have seen the poet Kamla Das was going back to Cochin airport, and she was going there by car. Her mother was also with her. She was sitting beside her, and poet Kamla Das saw her mother. She noticed her facial features. She was looking dull, and her mouth was opened, and she was looking lifeless like a dead body. So she realized that she had become old, and she realized this thing very painfully. It means she was expecting that that her mother would never become old. It is very hard for the poet to accept such a type of thing. So the poet got sad, and for diverting her mind, the poet started to look outside the car, and what she saw outside the car, she saw the young trees were running back. As the car was moving ahead, the trees were running back, and she saw one more thing: happy children who were coming out of their homes for playing. Now, students, next passage. But after the airport security check, standing a few yards away, I looked again at her, when pale as a late winter's moon. Students, here the poet is saying that ultimately the poet Kamla Das reached the airport, and there she passed the security check. After crossing the security check, again Kamala Das looked behind at her mother. She again looked behind at her mother, who was standing a few yards away from her. Okay, students, after reaching the airport and crossing the security check, again Kamala Das looked behind at her mother, who was standing a few yards away from her, and she again noticed the same facial features. She was looking dull and she was looking lifeless, same as a late winter's moon. Students, late winter's moon always looks dull because of fog. So same kind of thing was also becoming visible in the face of the mother, and felt that old familiar pain, familiar ache, my childhood's fear. But all I said was, "See you soon, Amma." All I did was smile and smile and smile. Students, through this passage, the poet was trying to say that after observing, noticing her mother, that she was really even old, or she had really become old now. She was feeling the familiar pain. It means the poet Kamala Das was feeling the familiar pain inside herself, the childhood fear, that whether she would be able to see her mother again when she would come back. It means it was the familiar pain. It was the familiar pain of the poet. It was the childhood fear of the poet. It means she was thinking to lose her mother. She was thinking whether she would be able to see her mother again when she would come back or not, because now her mother had become old and she was looking lifeless. But the poet did not show these emotions. She tried to hide these emotions behind her smile, and she gave her mother a courteous farewell, and she gave her hope to meet very soon, and she only smiled and smiled. Okay, students, I hope you have understood this poem thoroughly, and these are the questions of this poem. Students, there are 5 questions. You can see them yourself, and I expect you will complete them yourself. If surely I would like to discuss them in the next video. Okay, thank you.